Well, for more, Diana Semaan joins us now live from Beirut. She's a researcher on Syria at Amnesty International. Diana, thanks for speaking to us. It seems everyone on the ground and in the air in Syria has violated the basic rights of Syrian citizens. But does this study actually show more responsibility for atrocities on behalf of the Syrian regime and its allies?
Yes, I mean, the report examines 4 local agreements which have been implemented across Syria targeting besieged areas. The Syrian government is responsible for the majority of the crimes committed in these besieged areas, and to a lesser degree by the armed opposition groups, including Ahrar al-Sham and Hayat al-Tahrir, which was formerly known as Jabhat al-Nusra. What we found is that the Syrian government has presented these agreements as an effort towards reconciliation, while in reality they were preceded by the most egregious human rights violations, including unlawful sieges and bombardment of civilians, which led to the mass displacement of civilians and not only armed opposition fighters, as the government is saying in the media. So we concluded that the siege, the bombardment, and the forced displacement of thousands of civilians amounts to crimes against humanity.
So in conducting this study, what do you want the outcome to be? I mean, how much hope do you hold out that someone will actually be held accountable for these abuses?
The number one priority is, as you mentioned in your report, like 500,000 people continue to be besieged inside of Syria, but also by armed opposition groups. So we're calling on the Syrian government and its allies, Russia and Iran, to lift the sieges and end the unlawful attacks, and to ensure that any future reconciliation agreements or so-called reconciliation agreements do not lead to the mass displacement of civilians. And also one very important recommendation or call that we're making in this report is that these people who have been displaced to opposition-controlled areas and to government-controlled areas are living in dire conditions and makeshift camps, no access to services. So it's very important for these civilians to be allowed back safely and voluntarily to their homes and provided compensation. And
if your recommendations are not heeded, what happens?
We've been calling on the UN Security Council to impose sanctions on the Syrian government and armed opposition groups, given that they have failed to comply with very strong resolutions passed by the UN Security Council, such as Resolution 2165 and 2139. But unfortunately, given Russia's excessive use of veto, this hasn't been done so far. So we call again on Russia to not use its veto power to ensure that the UN Security Council can impose these sanctions on the government and armed groups to deter them from committing violations of international humanitarian law.
Okay. Diana Semaan, thank you so much for speaking to us on TRT World.